This race thing, I can't believe they're still saying.
You have the luxury to be cavalier about it.
Tell me we're fundamentally racist.
And we're going to keep talking about it.
I want to just go, this is over, can we move on?
Super important for people to talk about identity, because how else would we know? You can be empathetic, but until you learn what other people experience and what they're feeling and what their perspectives are, then you really can't say that you know what they feel like.
There's this balance where, we don't want everything to be about race, but I think we need to, be open about how our racial background influences our lives. So I think the biggest thing is to not make assumptions. I think a lot of times when I'm talking to, my biracial friends or people of color of other races, or even white people, like, you're assuming something about someone when you first see them.
Your identity is not really you. Your character is you. I don't care if you're black, white, Latino, green, blue, or whatever. Your identity does not describe who you are.
I think that there's a desire to affiliate with a certain identity or ethnicity that, although we find it very passionate and moving, that it's a very slippery slope.
I mean, I think it's very important for people to talk about their identities. And again, that's how we learn, instead of staying ignorant. However, when you're in a country like the US, it's also good to assimilate.
I think it's incredibly important that we share stories and we share each other's point of view, because it's just it adds more into your toolbox of how to be kind and generous. Like, I will never understand what it means to be a Black woman in the United States of America, or a Korean woman, or, a Chinese man. Like, that's just nothing I will ever be able to relate to. But I can't have an understanding and I can't have empathy for those experiences.
But for those who do have a sound sense of identity, I think it's important for them to continue to identify why they have that sense of identity and how that identity is able to be a benefit to society, as opposed to being somewhat an isolationist or being so solitary in that identity that you cannot embrace others with it.
If you don't think that racism is still a thing, or you think that we live in a post-racial society, it's because you aren't listening to people who are talking about their lived experiences of feeling erased or feeling targeted by, whether it's by the police or by people in their community. And to just say, oh, get over yourself, oh, this isn't real, oh, this has happened to me before for X reason, all you're doing is shutting them down and you're not letting them be heard. But as soon as you start hearing, and more than hearing, really listening, you can start getting to the root of what's going on.
I think anyone who's an ethnic American, anyone who comes from an immigrant background, you cannot avoid confronting your identity and reevaluating your identity and thinking about your identity. It's just not an option, and it's part of growing up, and it's a painful process, because it's just a very intense line of self-evaluation that happens for years during your development. I feel like a lot of people would benefit from that, because it's made my life better. So I'm not saying this to tell people what to do. I'm just saying this because I'm saying, hey, this helped me. Try it,